So, not sure you passed through Armadillo at all. Place like hell on earth these days. Used to be quite a nice little town, too. Now it's just dust storms and disease and death. They taking the burning bodies because they can't bury them fast enough. I mean, when you see it, it really feels like something biblical. And I ain't a religious man. Folk there calling it a curse. And I ain't a superstitious man, but it's hard not to see it any other way. Saying this figure appears sometimes there in the distance. Black suit and big top hat, then disappears. Shadowy, like he ain't of this mortal realm. The Reaper and his Sunday best. Maybe they're being punished for sins or something, I don't know. I got enough sins on my tally to figure I'm gonna stay well away from there. And I ain't a betting man, but I put my money on this.
In the original Red Dead Redemption, there is a mission near the end of the game called I Know You. And in this mission, you meet an enigmatic character. He is known only as a mysterious stranger. His name is a mystery, and yet he knows all about John Marston. He knows all about John's past, and yet John does not know him. He then gives a series of missions to complete for him. How you complete them is up to you. When you complete them all, he takes you to a beautiful spot and walks away without answering any of John's questions about him. John then pulls out his gun and shoots the man 3 times. And yet, the bullets don't do a thing to him. He chuckles and walks away, never to be seen again. So what do we know about the stranger? He's a supernatural being of some kind. That he's apparently been around John a lot, yet is unrecognizable to him. He likes John, it seems, for taking the law into his own hands. He likes to test John's morality. He's an accountant of some kind, and he apparently has a son. He also seems to be able to appear anywhere in a matter of seconds without the need of a horse or any other form of transportation. So what is he? There are a few main theories on who he is. The first being that he is a representation of John's conscience. He is a representation of John himself. He is guilt. When you talk about his son, he's really talking about John's son. When the stranger talks about his friend committing adultery, it's really about John's infidelities. When he tells John to give money to the nun to help the poor, it's because John was once poor. The stranger is well dressed, because he is what John could have been if he had chosen a more honest life. Of course, there's some flaws with it, like if the stranger was just a hallucination, why would it know things John does not know, like the man cheating on his wife, or the name of the little girl that was killed that John did not remember. Another more supernatural theory is that the stranger is an angel, who in a weird sort of way is trying to save John from his inevitable death at the end of the game. It makes a little sense why he sends you out to try to prevent other people from committing sinful acts and giving money to the poor. He's trying to help John go to heaven before he dies. Some go so far as to say the stranger is the Christian God himself, because he mentions how he has a son, and angels tend to have very giant children. Of course, the son he is referencing might not be Jesus, but instead Lucifer, who betrayed God. He says that he hopes his son turns out like John, which in other words means that God hopes Lucifer realizes his mistakes like John has. And finally, the nun in the second part of the mission says that the Lord has brought you to her, but the person who sent you out there was the stranger. But why would God want to tempt you with ideas of robbery and adultery? A test, maybe? It also makes sense why people would damn him a lot. People love to say, "God damn you." And he doesn't know his own name, like how God doesn't have an actual name. John firing 3 bullets could be a vague reference to Peter denying Jesus in the Bible. An Easter egg in Red Dead Redemption 2 may also hint at the strange man being God. If you visit Herbert Moon, who is one of the only survivors of a cholera outbreak in the town of Armadillo, he has a portrait of the strange man behind him. If you decide to kill him and rob him, you find a letter on him from his daughter saying that she is praying for him. When you go back to the store, you find him alive with bandages over his eye. God apparently is protecting him. The more popular theory, and the exact opposite one, is that the stranger is actually the devil. He is an admirer of murder and suffering, says John is famous, and that he's been around John most of his life. He also dresses in fancy clothes, like how the devil is portrayed in other fictional media. The damning part kinda makes more sense. And another Easter egg about the strange man in Red Dead Redemption 2 is found in the old shack, where a painting of the strange man is found, along with the paintings of animals. If you have high honor, you will see eagles in the paintings, but if you don't, you'll see coyotes and vultures. Cool, right? But there are a few flaws, like the part about having a son. Also, if the stranger was the devil, why wouldn't he encourage John to do the wrong things? Or was he just trying to entice him? Me personally, I like to think of him as Death himself. In that same shack from the second game, you also see writing. Some writing changes, depending on whether or not you killed a character named Jimmy Brooks. One piece of writing, though, talks about venom being in the water, which could be referencing the cholera outbreak in Armadillo. The strange man being Death makes sense, and why Herbert Moon won't be killed, because he is friends with Death. When John meets him for the first time, in the first game, the stranger is near the edge of a cliff. He knows about all the people John has killed or died as a result of him. When you meet him a second time, he is making a fire and has a donkey. It is said, in the legends of the Old West, that Death travels upon either a pale horse or a donkey. In this encounter, he compliments John on his morality and says that one day he will be judged by the highest authorities, referring to the Abrahamic God and devil. The stranger being Death also makes a lot of sense with why people would damn him. In the final encounter with him, he takes you to another place near John's home and asks if this is a beautiful spot. John says yes, not knowing the significance of the question. Remember how John fired 3 shots at the stranger when he walked away? Well, at the end of the game, in that beautiful spot the stranger showed him, was where he is later buried, along with his wife and uncle. 3 graves. John's final resting place.
See you around, cowboy.